So I'm going to start by continuing from the last video. I'm going to do number 20 here. And yes, there is decimals, but you don't need to be scared. Do the same thing you would normally do. I'm going to deal with the addition first because I'm going reverse order of operations. So I have to subtract 0.5 from both sides. And the reason I have to subtract 0.5 is because it's adding 0.5. So if I do that to both sides, the 0.5s will cancel out. And all I have left is 0.4x equals now negative 8.3 plus negative 0.5 that will add together and become negative 8.8, right? Now, if you put this in a calculator is what I would do, but you got to get rid of the 0.4. So it's multiplying the x, so I have to divide both sides by 0.4, right, in order to solve this. So again, divide both sides by 0.4. That's a terrible zero. If you do that, the 0.4s will cancel out, and all you have left is the x. And then you have to put in the calculator. 8.8 negative divided by 0.4 and see what you get. When you do, the calculator gives you 22. It's going to be negative though, because negative divided by positive is negative. So that was 20, and I can check if I got that right by doing 0.4 times 22 plus 0.5, and I have to end up with negative 8.3. And you can do this on the calculator. If you do 22 times 0.4, you get 8.8. Except, of course, since my answer is negative 22 over here, this is going to be negative 8.8. And negative 8.8 plus 0.5, that's there are different signs, so you're going to find a difference, and the difference between those two is indeed negative 8.3. You know you did it right. Good job. Move on to the next problem. And the next problem you have to do is up here. It is this tough monster of a problem, but we've done it like that on our challenge problems day. And when you have a parentheses, it's the last thing you want to do. Now, in this first one, they literally want you to walk people through the solutions. And since you're going to have to type this in the test, what you're going to have to do is literally type what I'm saying. So the first step would not be multiply both sides by something. It would be divide both sides by this fraction. But when you divide by a fraction, it is the same thing as multiplying by its inverse. So that's what I like to do. You can also take two steps, but I like to do it that way. So I'm going to do exactly that, and I'm going to multiply both sides by the inverse of that fraction, which would be, instead of 3/4, 4/3. But I have to do that to both sides. When I do that to both sides, the fractions will cancel out over here, and then I have to deal with whatever is over here, right? Now, 36 divided by 3 actually gives me 12. And then 12 times 4 is 48. So now I know that what I ended up with for my next step is just b minus 21 equals 48. Okay? Now I have to get rid of the negative 21, so I add 21 to both sides. And that's exactly what I'm going to do here. Plus 21 on both sides. The 21s will then cancel out, and then all I have left is b equals 48 plus 21, which is 69. And that is a great answer. You did it right. You could check if you got that right by plugging it back into the original. And I'm going to do that using, let's see, green. I didn't do that yet with green. So you do 3/4 of 69 minus 21, and you have to end up with 36 if you did this right. So I'm going to do parentheses first. 69 minus 21 is 48. And that has to be equal to 36 when multiplied by 3/4. Well, let's see. 48 divided by 4 is 12. And 3 times 12 is 36. I did that right. Good job. So our final solution is going to end up being 36. And what were the steps we did? Well, we first multiplied by the reciprocal of that fraction to get rid of it. And then the second step was adding 21 to both sides. And finally, we did a check step where we plugged in the 69 into the original expression and did one step at a time to verify that both sides were the same. So that is the two-step equation part of the test on the last video.